From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. It's a daily update on Bama sports and it's brought to you by Everwood Treatment Company. Athletics. Everwood, wood treated right. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. As Alabama football starts preparations for Missouri, head coach Kalen DeBoer met with the media on Monday.
We've had two losses now, trying to find those complete games and as a team. And, there's been times throughout the season where we've played very complimentary. It might be, takeaways and scoring. It might be, one team needs a little pick me up. The other comes through. But when the losses happen, those things get amplified. You certainly really look into that more. We got to play better as a team. It's what great teams do. And so we haven't been our best in those two games in particular. And I know there's other times we can always look and know we got to improve, but can't have the mistakes, can't have the penalties, got to have better execution.
I'll have more in a moment.
Producing championship quality lumber is not an easy process, but at Everwood Preserving, it's our only process. Wood treated right. Everwood offers top-notch pressure-treated wood for decks, outdoor structures, commercial jobs, and more that you can build your reputation on. When it comes to quality, we're on the winning team. Visit your local Everwood dealer today and discover the difference for yourself. Everwood Preserving Incorporated, the official lumber of the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Join us this afternoon for Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, streaming live at 2 p.m. Central on all CTSN social media platforms. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by Everwood. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
There you go. We're back. We're off. We're live. We're running. It is another brand new live edition of Talking Ball. 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Happy Tuesday morning. Safe travels into work, into school, wherever you may be headed on this Tuesday morning. 48 degrees as you make your way into wherever the high today. Supposed to be 79. Should be another fantastic day in the Tennessee Valley. A lot of stuff going on. I know we got some cross country going on. I know there's volleyball going on. You got football going on. Basketball practices have started. I mean, this is a great time of year to be a high school athlete and beyond. 256-576-4977 if you want to join the phone lines. If you want to join the conversation this morning, feel free to do so. Both Alabama's Kalen DeBoer, Auburn's Hugh Freeze sat down with the media yesterday. And as you might imagine, a lot of questions thrown both ways at both coaches. But here is Kalen DeBoer's little message right out of the gates.
Confident in a group of guys that want to be great. There's no doubt about it. I can see in their response each and every day, just showing up to work. And so, I have no doubt that that's going to continue to happen. We know that just being a championship football team is hard. We all signed up for it. We all want to continue to improve our awareness, our intensity. And that's not just intensity on the football field and all that. That's just everything we do. We know it takes everything we got. And, that's what we signed up for. So I think the biggest thing is the message has been over the weeks, not just this week or not just after Vanderbilt, but the weeks, all season long. The message is always going to be there's never going to be excuses. That's one thing that, only softens character. It lowers the standard, and that will never happen. And so, again, talk about being solution oriented, continue about moving forward, making sure you got the right people here. And I firmly believe that we have a lot of great people with a lot of great skill sets, whether it's players, staff, and that they're all working together. And so really, know that that's going to be the case. Kind of moving on to a couple other things.
There you go. Little opening there from Kalen DeBoer.
Well, they're running out of chances. That's all I'm going to say. If you want to be a championship football team, get your head out your ass and win a game. That's what you got to do. And, they didn't play well enough against Tennessee to win the football game. They, in special teams wise, defense, I think they did enough, but they did not do enough offensively. 90% of it was on the quarterback not executing. It was not on the offensive line. I know people want to complain and bitch about the pass protection at times, but a lot of that was on Milroe holding the ball too long. I know they want to complain about the running game, but again, they got over 20 carries to the running backs, and when you're behind in a game like Alabama was in the fourth quarter, it's tough to run the football.
Right.
And when they're loading the box because the quarterback couldn't hit that wall, it's very difficult as well. And when the quarterback will not run the football when he has acres of yardage in front of him, that's another problem. And when he has wide receivers running wide open and receivers running just scot-free and he doesn't make his reads and throw the football, again, that's what I'm saying. They should have been up 17-0 at half. Once again, the quarterback didn't execute well enough. Again, 90% of the problems with this football team are on the quarterback. I'm sorry, but I don't want to hear that you can't call out people. The guy's making $2 million. You can call him out. Do your job and do it better because it's on him, ultimately. He did say it after the game. I will say he did wear it. He said, it's on me. I've got to do better. I mean, the guy's playing with anxiety, and he's a redshirt junior. He can't check off during games. Snaps are hitting him in the face. I thought it was Seth McLaughlin's fault. All the fans did. They ran him off. He sucks. He can't play. He's only starting for Ohio State University. It wasn't Seth McLaughlin. It was the damn quarterback. And if you go back and watch it, the defense saved his ass several times last year. Has he improved as a player? Yes. But right now it looks like he's hitting his ceiling and going backwards. So he better reverse the trend really quick or somebody else is going to be taking snaps, and they should be.
One of the other issues that Kalen DeBoer addressed yesterday was the unsportsmanlike penalty from Kendrick Law. And not just that one, but all of the idiotic mistakes that have been self-inflicted mistakes. Here's Coach on those.
Well, the message continues to be right with the team. It's not just one. It's we gotta learn from those moments. Those moments are big, and our choices, our decisions, our words, our actions. I mean, all of those things. They have to be focused on what's best for our team. And obviously, in that moment, we're fighting to try to find a way to win. And it's a big moment. And so, we got to make sure we, of course, address them, but we got to, we can't continue to have the mistakes. And, that those are in particular that we can control. Some things you just can't control, the things that happen to you, the way the ball bounces and all of those things. So, I think just everything in general, it starts with our thoughts. We got to make sure other people's thoughts don't become ours. And we got to make sure that, if someone's talking to us, we gotta learn to walk the other way and, be a more emotionally disciplined in every facet, not just the high aggression type things, but also just when, the momentum swings and things like that happen in a game, be able to trust in your preparation, trust in what you're doing. But we got to be better. We got to be better there. And obviously that's an important part of what great teams do.
Well, and the thing is, but let me just also go on the record. I am not saying Ty Simpson should start this game Saturday. Okay.
No,
I mean, Jalen Milroe is QB1. He won the job last year. He won the team. He's a two-time captain. What I'm saying is he's got to clean up his performance and play better football, okay? Otherwise, he could lose his job is what I'm saying.
There was a lot of talk yesterday, and reporters in the Kalen DeBoer press conference yesterday tried to pepper him with, is Jalen Milroe 100%? Is he healthy right now? Is he playing really hurt?
Look, man, it ain't got anything to do. He's banged up. There's a difference between him being hurt and injured, okay?
Right.
He's healthy enough to run the football. I mean, if not, he couldn't have scrambled outside the pocket in the danged end zone when they were backed up to the 4 and then said, third row, and then airmailed it into the third row instead of taking off and trying to get a first down. Okay? It has nothing to do with injury. Yes, he's banged up, but he's healthy enough to play. My man Keon Sabb, who people were getting all over, the guy played 3 quarters with a broken foot. Let me say that one more time.
Yes.
With a broken foot.
Played
Okay?
with a broken foot in the game.
Breaking up
on
passes
Saturday.
with a broken foot. Jalen Milroe ain't got no broken foot. What he's got is a broken confidence. He's got to get his confidence back, get his swag back, and play football or get on the bench and let somebody else do it.
But if you are Nick Sheridan, then when you game plan,
Look, the game plan was good enough, man. The game plan was good enough. You have to make plays and make throws, okay? The guys were open. I'm not getting all over Nick Sheridan. The plays were there to be made.
Right.
You make the plays. You get in the film room, you grind, which supposedly he does. Well, and you know, he fancies himself to be a leader in the face of the program, and he enjoys that spotlight. Well, now you have to take that bull by the horns and do it. Go out and perform. That's what it's about. It's not about sulking on the sidelines. It's going out and sucking it up and performing because the plays are there to be made. And use your legs, man. I'm just telling you. If he's banged up enough where he can't move, then sit on the bench. But I don't think he is. I just think he's lost his confidence because it was shaken, you know, after the South Carolina game when he made some mistakes and it carried over. But I will say this. I was in the interview room. He even said he had some anxiety against Western Kentucky coming out in the first game. You have got to I will say, I have gone on the record and said that he's a more talented athlete than Jalen Hurts, which he is from a run and the arm strength standpoint and everything.
Right.
And when he's right and he plays good football, he is a better player than Jalen Hurts. But there's a key thing. There's a key thing here. Jalen Hurts has a higher football IQ. Jalen Hurts did never hesitate to run the football. Always was it had a knack in the clutch too. Even when he was struggling throwing the football, if a game was close, he could drive his team down and get him in position to win games, either with his legs or with his arm.
Right.
The one thing Jalen struggled with when he was at Alabama was throwing the ball vertically. Everything else he did right, he did well. At times he didn't go through his progressions, but again, he was a younger player. He got better at that. He, actually, as a backup to Tua Tagovailoa, I think it made him get better. And then we see where he is now. But the thing about it is like, if this makes sense, he's a better football player, but Jalen Milroe is a better athlete because Jalen Hurts was better from the neck up and more poised. I mean, I'll still never forget the comeback against Ole Miss when they were down 24-3. Now, some of that was a punt return from Eddie Jackson, you know, an INT return from John Allen, but he also drove the team down for points. And he took one of the biggest hits I've ever seen, like a blindside hit. There was a fumble. Ole Miss returned it for a touchdown. I mean, but yet he got right back up, and the next drive drove his team down for 6. I mean, the guy was poised, and he was tough, okay? And I do think Milroe's a tough kid because he's taking some shots himself. He's taking hits. Now, a lot of them are his fault because he holds on to the ball too long, but he's just got to clean his game up, man. He's very capable, very, very capable. But right now he's in a funk, and you got to come out of it because as a captain of this team and a leader, your legacy is about to be cemented. Now, you won an SEC title last year and got your team to the playoff, but right now you're on the precipice of a disaster as a redshirt junior, and you've got to clean this up and get going.
Am I way off to say? I mean, because this is his third offensive coordinator since he's been there.
Yeah,
right. Is this? I mean, is it a fact that you're just trying to learn another system yet again?
Well, I mean, that's part of it, but I think that, and this is on the coaches. I think they've got to help him by, you know, in other words, don't allow him to check at the line of scrimmage. Help him out like Tommy Rees did. And when they helped him out, he started using his athleticism and his God's gift, and he started playing well. And I think that's what they need to do now. I mean, football is a game of teaching and adjustments, and Alabama's coaching staff has to adjust, and then Jalen Milroe has to go out there and perform. Just let it rip, man. Use what God gave you. I watched the guy that he's compared to last night, Lamar Jackson, do the same thing for the Baltimore Ravens. And they looked awful early, but he got it rolling, and they whipped Tampa by 10 points. and really it was worse than that when you just go back if you're watching the whole game.
By the way, Derrick Henry, another great game. 41-31, your final there, Ravens over the Buccaneers.
I mean, the King is just fine. I mean,
Yes.
he got off. They weren't giving him the football early, but he certainly was the closer. And so, again, but like I said, this season is easily salvageable for Alabama. But the key is your quarterback has to get going. Everybody has ups and downs. Everybody plays poorly. Greg McElroy played poorly in the middle of the 2009 national championship season for Nick Saban. But he snapped out of it, and he played his best game against Tim Tebow in Florida. Milroe's got to do the same thing because this is his team. Okay, I am not advocating for a quarterback change unless he continues to struggle because he's earned this.
Right.
But he has to. When you earn something, though, you've got to keep it every day, every week. Nothing's guaranteed. I know, he's making all this NIL money and everything, but look, man, Quinn Ewers is making less money than his backup because his backup happens to be a Manning. All right. So, but Ewers right now is the quarterback, but yet they've given Arch a chance. And see, that's the thing. Milroe has done a good job of keeping the other quarterbacks at bay because he performed. Well, you're opening a door right now if you don't shut it.
Yeah. Well, in Quinn Ewers' case, the reason why Arch got a good shot was because Quinn was hurt.
He got hurt, but
Quinn missed a few games.
Georgia just completely discombobulated.
Yeah.
Well, and Milroe had the same kind of game against Tennessee. So you have to bounce back and play well. Right. This game Saturday for Jalen Milroe's future, especially if he has aspirations of being a high draft pick and going to the NFL, this is very, very important. This is the most important 5-game stretch of his career to play well and produce.
Let's go to Mark from Spring Hill real fast. Good morning, Mark.
Morning, guys. Hey, Drew, I agree with you 100%. I think Alabama's mindset has to shift to stop talking and start doing. And I hope and I think we'll get that. I think if you go in right now and say, okay, the season just started with the 5-game season, we're going to take them one at a time. If we win all of them, we're in the playoffs. I think the coach can say that with assurance. I think he can say it with confidence. They beat Georgia. That's going to be their trump card to get in. They'll beat Missouri and LSU. So everything's still in front of them. They will not get in the conference championship game, most likely, and that's okay because at the end of the day, you want to make that field. I think that is what they should be focused on, is getting better each week. And that would be my take on this team. That the first half of the Georgia game, Milroe looked like the Heisman Trophy front runner. He took over the game. He ran the ball, I don't know how many times, for touchdowns. He outran the Georgia defense. He looked like a world beater. Ever since then, he's played timid, like you said. Now, I do want to add this, and y'all might not like this, but I am sick and tired of the Southeastern Conference officiating. It's not just this game. Those clowns that called that one are the same clowns that we did not want. When Steve Shaw was over officiating for the SEC, it had a great reputation. I don't even know who the guy is. It's over. Whoever he is, he needs to be fired. And there's no accountability. You can clearly see that. And I'm going to say one last thing. So I still feel good about Alabama. I'm not throwing them out with the bathwater. I will say that that this is my bottom line with the SEC officials and the whole thing. When you look at Greg Stanky or whatever we want to call him, and you allow what happened in the Georgia game, regardless if it was the right call, all that. If you could imagine the Alabama-Auburn game when Auburn supposedly touched the ball in one of those games last few years, I think like maybe 2 years ago in Bryant-Denny, and Alabama didn't, Auburn player did not touch the ball. They even reviewed it and they said that he did. And you let crowds start throwing stuff on the field. That was probably the biggest moment this weekend for me. Was officiating. I've never in my life, I'm 53 years old, okay? I've never, ever, ever seen a play that's non-reviewable be called back and changed. And I wanted to know if you guys, maybe I missed the game that's happened in, but when you have a conference group of officials that are okay with, I'm not saying the officials cost Alabama because they called bad plays on Tennessee too, but I'm just tired of them, being what I could say considering part of the outcome. They're supposed to call plays and not determine games. And so I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the solution is. Better officiating, hire better officials, train them better, get Steve Shaw back. But something's wrong with Southeastern Conference and officiating. And I know Lamont Russell real well. Played football with Lamont Russell at Aniana. I got a call out, hopefully, to get to talk with him later today. I'm going to ask him, last time I talked with him about some problems with officiating, he said there's no official he's aware of that just purposely tries to hurt a team. But I'd like to get his thoughts. And I wish y'all would reach out to Lamont Russell, an SEC official, see if y'all can get an official on this program and talk to them a little bit about, what's going on in the SEC in terms of officiating. And I appreciate y'all taking my call.
Thanks, Mark. Look, and
Steve and Wes have Steve Shaw on periodically.
He brings up SEC officiating. Ask Jim Mora about officiating as a whole. I don't know if you heard his rant the other day. UConn's an independent.
Yeah, you're talking about Jim Mora Jr.
Yeah, they played an ACC team.
Right.
And he basically said, we just got screwed. He goes, it was an ACC officiating crew basically saying they wanted their ACC team to win. We got screwed, and he's tired of the way officiating is. I think college football as a whole, not just the SEC, college football as a whole has an officiating problem.
Oh, they do. And it filters down to a shortage of officials in high school. They don't have enough of them, but I think they ought to be full-time officials. I've said this for a while. I mean, most of these guys work 9 to 5 jobs during the week, and then on the weekend they go and call games. Well, it's become a multi-million-dollar, if not billion-dollar industry, especially with the NIL and the transfer portal and all this with the players. So to me, they need to make these officials full-time, and they need to work on their craft year-round. I'm sure they do when they can, but it just needs to be their full-time job because there's too much at stake. There's too much, on the table. And so the first thing they need to do is they need to, either eliminate targeting or they need to tweak it to the point where you don't get ejected for doing it, because
clarify the rule a little bit better.
Yeah, because I don't think a kid deserves to be ejected and miss the rest of this of the half of the game he's in, and then miss the first half of the next game just for targeting. Because again, if a guy ducks his head at the last minute, things of that nature, and then they don't call it consistently, because it looks like it's almost fixed with the Miami Hurricanes, because they should have lost to Cal and Virginia Tech because of just extremely questionable officiating.
Yep. All right, let's get our first break in. When we come back, we'll go back out to the phone lines. Plus,
and they're a fraud, by the way. They might win the ACC championship, but their asses ain't winning the national championship. They're gonna get embarrassed in the playoff. This is just like Dirt Neck. Remember when he played Oregon in the semifinal as a defending national champion, and they lost by 30. That's what's going to happen to the Canes. No matter what Michael Irvin does, he can dance around all he wants, but they're going to get their ass whooped.
We got to hear from Hugh Freeze. Plus the SEC standings. It's an interesting look if you start looking into the SEC standings and just start thinking about what could happen because of what will happen. We'll explain it all next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Cataract reported eastbound on 565 right about county line. They reported that one as an injury type. They had Himsey on the way, but it looks like they've canceled on it now. Got Wilson and Sycamore in Decatur. That one reported injury. In 251 in Gatlin Road, that's up near Ardmore in Limestone County. That one had an overturned vehicle with injury. D&L Refrigeration repairs heating and air conditioning units for homes and businesses with military, law enforcement, and senior discounts. D&L 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com. The new Cheeseburger Bobby's on Carl T. Jones Drive in South Huntsville is focused on serving great food prepared with the absolute freshest ingredients, featuring classic hamburgers and cheeseburgers with lots of specialty options, chicken and hot dogs, even turkey burgers and veggie burgers, along with fresh cut fries, onion rings, or coleslaw. Always fresh, never frozen, except for the frozen custard. See all the delicious options at Cheeseburger Bobby's for yourself. Check out the menu and more at cheeseburgerbobbies.com.
You don't have to go somewhere else just so you can go somewhere new. Plan your next vacation with Huntsville International Airport and Breeze Airways. Enjoy friendly, convenient, nonstop travel to some of the most exciting destinations in the U.S., including the home of 12 world-famous theme parks, Orlando, Florida. With flights starting as low as just $49, Breeze has got you covered with easy, breezy, nonstop flights to Orlando. Make all their dreams come true. Book nonstop to Orlando now at flybreeze.com.
Embark on a flavorful journey at the Brewers Cooperative, located within the vibrant community hub of Stovehouse in Huntsville. Their brewery isn't just about crafting exceptional beers. It's a destination where culinary delights and local brews harmonize. Whether you're seeking a laid-back lunch or a lively dinner with friends, their diverse menu has something to please every palate. And with a commitment to quality and a passion for innovation, they invite you to savor the unique flavor of Huntsville's craft beer scene at the Brewers Cooperative.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying, but they can also signal a major problem, or worse, an electrical emergency. So play it safe and leave it to the experts at Mr. Sparky. Trust our team of professional, clean, and friendly electricians. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-Sparky.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at GenSuperstore.com.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball Tuesday edition. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Welcome back. 256-576-4977. You can join the conversation this morning. Let's visit with Robert real fast. Good morning, Robert.
Hey, guys. How y'all doing?
Good, sir.
Good. Quick question. Do you think that these Alabama players, and I mean on a deep level, respect the Alabama coaching staff, starting with DeBoer?
Well, I mean, I think they really like the guy. I think they trust him. I think he's built tried to build a rapport with each and every player. But again, there could be some entitlement there with some guys that returned that feel like, okay, I stuck by this coach. I don't know. It almost seems like, in a way, that some of them, don't fear that their jobs could be taken from them, I guess is the best way to put it. So they need to, but they need to do their jobs. And to me, if I'm DeBoer, you finally have to put your foot down and put your imprint on the team. And again, this is your program and your team. And I'm talking about DeBoer's. He's paid $10 million. He's still paid more than these players. And you have to, again, there has to be a tipping point where you have to say, this is the way we're doing things. This is the way we're going to do it. We've got to clean this stuff up. It's not going to be tolerated. And we have to go out and play better football. It can't be all kumbaya. you finally have to, set some standards and some, and some guidelines. It's kind of like what needs to be done with NIL, but I mean, it's a player run team right now because again, a lot of them returned and could have left, but it's reached a point where guys, this is what your legacy is going to be. You have to either step it up. We have to play as a team and as a complete unit, or we're going to splinter and you're going to end up 7-5 and in some podunk bowl, and half of you guys are going to opt out and or transfer or whatever. But again, your legacy is you only have one chance to do it, and this is what these guys have to decide: are they going to toe the line and do things the right way, or are they going to splinter off and basically? And I'll use a West Neighbors analogy. You set your own legacy, and like if you jump around and transfer and you don't step up and when times are hard, that's kind of that's what you're remembered for. In other words, you didn't respond well to adversity. I agree with him. If you transfer 2 to 3 times, it actually hurts you. So you can cement your legacy by turning things around. Even if this team doesn't make the playoff, if you finish 9-3 or 10-2, that's a very solid first season, and your legacy will be intact. I mean, nobody is going to chastise this team if they can't win in LSU. But I will say this: if they win at LSU and they beat Missouri and they go 10-2 and they're at least in the playoff conversation, and you've lost to the best Vandy team we've seen in over a decade, and then you lose to Tennessee, who I think is another really solid football team, then I think that, again, it's not great, but it's certainly a very, very solid first year and a better one than most Alabama coaches have had in year one.
I think that DeBoer, of course, it's a massive change when you come from Saban, who's the ultimate ruler. And then you go to DeBoer, who is not real. He's like one of the team. He's like another teammate. Just a buddy, they like him. Like you said, they like him but at some point, somebody's got to lay the law down, or you've got to be scared out of your britches. If you don't do this, or if you do something stupid, then there's going to be consequences. And I think the athletes up in Seattle are probably different than the ones down here in the dirty South. Would y'all not agree on that?
Well, yeah, I think he's still adjusting.
It's a learning experience for him, man.
No,
it is.
I think he's adjusting, but I think too, and just like Nick Saban though too, I think there was 2 sides to Nick Saban. We saw one side in the media, you saw another side, and the players saw another side. I think there's another side to Kalen DeBoer that we don't see as well.
And we'll find out if that message is getting through there. I think players like him. I think they respect him. Do they fear him? I don't know. We're going to find out because, again, this coaching staff, some of these guys are probably not going to be back next year. At least I sure as hell hope not. But I'm just saying that especially one in particular. But I just think overall, these guys should be coaching for their futures. And these players, look, it works both ways. If guys can transfer, but you can also be told to leave. So, you have to, that's what I was talking about kind of at the beginning of the show. You have to, earn your keep, earn your money, and perform. And these coaches have to make adjustments. And they're going to, and that needs to be done now. They need to help out Jalen Milroe a little bit. I think they need to help him by going back to what Tommy Rees did, and I'm not saying copying the offense. What I mean is helping Jalen Milroe out, with the checks and everything. Just let him use his athleticism and just hammer it into his head. You have to use what God's gifted you with. He's not Tom Brady. He's not a pocket QB. You've got to move around and try to make plays. But also, if it's there, take off and run, because this offense has to stay on schedule. And the offensive line struggles at times. I think a lot of that's on Milroe. But again, now the team's banged up too. The defense, especially after that game, they need more help from this offense. This offense needs to produce.
Yeah. No, I'm going to tell you right now, I think Alabama runs off the rest of the season, and I think they do get in the playoffs. If they can't beat Missouri at home, then and they they get 2 weeks with LSU. LSU's playing good ball, man. They
are.
won. I am shocked at what they did to Arkansas.
Yeah, that surprised me too. I mean, you heard me. I picked Arkansas in a close one, and they ran away from Arkansas.
At least to play it close.
Yeah.
I mean, and they just got smoked the second half. So, at LSU, but they get 2 weeks to prep. So hopefully that will materialize there. Of course, they get Auburn at home, and they'll have to deal with that, with the Halloween, the craziness that goes on in Jordan-Hare. But I think they run the table. If they drop any other game, then they're serious problems.
Yeah.
And they really and truly are. They should beat Missouri. They should beat it'll be a good game at LSU, but I think they've got the athletes to do it and put pressure on the quarterback, which I think will disrupt. I think they should run it. They get in there in the playoffs and do some stuff. And I agree with you, Drew. If they do that and get a favorable draw, which they will by beating Georgia, not having to play in the SEC championship game, it's going to be a successful season. But it starts right now. I mean, they got to start. They got to show what they got on Saturday, man.
Yep, got to be 1-0 this
for
week.
The phone call. Let's get a break in. When we come back, we'll get to Josh on the phone lines. Plus, want to run down these SEC standings because it's pretty interesting. And there's a lot of teams that may think they're out of it that are really not out of it because of all the games that have got to be played. We'll explain.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Temperatures drop into the low and mid-50s as we head into the overnight early into your Wednesday morning. Maybe a light jacket for the Wednesday morning commute, but you're not going to need that jacket as we head into the afternoon. Plenty of sunshine, temperatures climbing into the lower 80s. We drop into the mid and upper 50s as we head into the overnight early Thursday morning. Much the same Thursday afternoon. Plenty of sunshine, temperatures climbing into the lower 80s. Dropping again into the mid and upper 50s, maybe only the lower 60s through the earliest hours of Friday morning. A mostly sunny sky Friday afternoon, temperatures climbing into the mid 80s. And again, dropping into the mid and upper 50s through the overnight early Saturday morning. Sunshine continues Saturday afternoon, temperatures climbing into the low 80s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Sounds like we just got a wreck around University in Old Monrovia. They're going to try to get it off into a parking lot. Got a pretty good backup now eastbound on 565. Got a wreck up near County Line, but traffic's backed up all the way back to Greenbrier. They reported an injury there, but they canceled Himsey on that one. Still working on an overturned vehicle in Limestone County, 251 in Gatlin Road. That one had an injury. And we got Bob Wade and Derwent in Madison County that's coming in as an injury time. 2030 Fast Track can make your clothes fall off. Allison lost 100 pounds in 7 months on the plan. A free hormone quiz will tell you if it can work for you. 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
It all comes back to money.
Visit our store right now at zonedeals.bigdealsmedia.net to take advantage of all the best deals in the Tennessee Valley. Or just go to our website, 977ESPN.com, and click on the Zone Deals logo to start saving right now.
Now, as to the price.
These deals won't last long, so get yours now. Zone Deals. You'll thank us later.
A man who could easily afford to buy a vowel.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White, his team takes great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
You need a lawyer and pick up the phone. I'm attorney Gary Lackey. When you call for a lawyer, where does that phone ring? It might be in a call center somewhere, maybe 100 miles away, but my phone rings in my office.
The Lackey Law Firm.
I'm attorney Justin Lackey. My phone rings in my office too.
So does mine. I'm attorney Jennifer Lackey. And when you've been hurt and need help, we're here. We're the ones who take your call.
And get what you deserve.
You want to talk to your lawyer. You don't want to reach a call center. With the Lackey Law Firm, that never happens.
The Lackey Law Firm.
And this is the most important part. We'll treat you like family because that's exactly what we are.
The Lackey Law Firm.
And I'll go you one better. If you can't come to us, we'll come to you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4-RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
The company is Eagle Masonry and Insulation, but did you know they're also Eagle Landscaping and Dirt Work? Eagle can take care of all your landscaping needs, including irrigation, sod work, and planting, both plants and trees. On the dirt work side, Eagle can grade and build your pads, haul dirt in or out, and even do erosion control. Philip Love and his team can do it all for you. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Catch the Tide every Saturday. Hi, this is Chris Stewart of the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Listen to Alabama football on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Roll Tide.
If you having girl problems, I feel bad for you, son. I got 99 problems, but it won't hit me.
There you go.
He knows Diddy, though. That's a problem.
Oh, anyway, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Welcome back into the program. Let's get out to the phone lines. Bryce is with us this morning. Good morning, Bryce.
Good morning, guys. How are y'all doing today?
We're doing well. How are you?
Fine. Guys, there's no way we should have lost that football game Saturday. We got the turnovers. Our defense played good enough to win that football game. But what I had a problem with, and I don't know if y'all agree or disagree, is as bad as Milroe was playing, I mean, I'm not at practice. I don't see what goes on, but in Ty being from Tennessee, he probably played, he got in there, he might have played his heart out, because he wanted to beat Tennessee. I just thought maybe, just to get his attention, set him down for a few minutes and see what Ty could do. I don't know if y'all agree or disagree.
No, I didn't see Ty getting into the game unless there was an injury. Yeah, he's not played in one SEC game with any consequential snaps. And Alabama, they were basically, they led 7-0. It was 7-7. They took a 10-7 lead. They fell behind 14-10, and then early in the fourth quarter they led 17-14. So they were in control of the game for much of it, and there was never really an opening to all of a sudden put Ty Simpson in the game. It wouldn't have made any sense.
Right.
I mean, they got Milroe the ball back with up 17-14. He didn't move the team. They got him the ball back down 21-17 a couple times. Wasn't able to move it, and then even 24-17. So barring injury, no, I didn't see an opportunity there to get Ty in the game.
Even to make the score 17-14, Jalen Milroe drove the team.
Yeah, I mean he ripped 2 or 3 throws.
Minutes.
It
was bam, touchdown.
It was honestly the best drive of the game, probably even better than the one where he threw a touchdown pass to Ryan Williams. So he drove the team several times. But now, late in the game, those last 4 drives, they were not good. But that was not somewhere. Trust me, I remember the Iron Bowl where Alabama fell behind in 2010. Finally, Auburn. Remember that was a 28-27 game, and Alabama.
Right.
People forget Alabama actually had the ball late with a chance to drive and maybe kick a field goal. But Greg McElroy got hurt, and they put A.J. McCarron in, and he hadn't played much. And we know how good a player A.J. ended up being. But AJ struggled. he struggled against that Auburn defense and that Auburn football team. He was when you come into the game cold off the bench, it's very, very difficult. I remember in the Tennessee game, even though Alabama won the game in 2019, Mac Jones had to come in for Tua Tagovailoa when he had the ankle injury, and they had to take him away in an ambulance. And it wasn't pretty, man. As a matter of fact, there was a lot of people worried that they might lose to Arkansas the next week because we all knew that Tua would be out for that game and that it was going to be Mac's first start. But given a whole week of practice, Mac lit it up like a lamp and kind of showed you. And then when he played well in the Iron Bowl, like, hey, man, this cat's probably going to be better than you think next year. And we all know what happened. So, and he won a national championship. So, again, unless Ty has a full week of practice and knows he's going to be the dude, that's a whole lot bit different situation than throwing you in the middle of, hey, go drive us down there and beat Tennessee because you're from Martin, Tennessee. That's I just don't.
When he hasn't done anything all
yeah,
year.
To me,
Look, there's a reason why. Look,
Yeah.
I get it. I know Jalen Milroe had a bad game.
Mhm.
And the easiest thing to do is to say, you know what, let's get Ty Simpson in there. Let's get the backup
well,
in
I mean,
there.
he played
But the
against
thing-
Western Kentucky too, and it was okay, you
right,
know.
but there's a reason why they have confidence in Jalen Milroe.
Yeah,
There's a reason why. I'm not
Milroe's
saying Ty
QB1.
Simpson cannot do it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that it's hard to bring a guy in off the bench when he hasn't performed, and now you're putting him in at a high-level game where
Loud as all get out,
and-
pumped in with fake crowd noise, but hey, people do that. But
Right.
I'm just saying,
it's a tough situation.
it's very,
for
very
him.
difficult
Right.
when you don't have a lot of game experience.
Yes.
So y'all didn't approve of what Stark did then.
Well, no, I'm okay. So look, and I know.
Did it work? It's a yes or no question. Did it work?
No, it didn't work that time.
There you
No,
go.
and see, here's the thing,
There
though,
you
and
go.
I think the difference is, and I know people are saying, and this is twice now we've brought up, okay, Sark put in Arch Manning. Arch Manning played 2 full games.
Yeah.
2 full games because Quinn Ewers was hurt. Now, albeit it wasn't the toughest competition,
No.
but he played in 2 full games this year. He had a lot of game reps. Ty Simpson, yes, he's played in some mop-up stuff against Western Kentucky and stuff.
And
but
last
he's
year
not-
against South Florida, he came off the bench.
Right, but he's not played in a lot of extended period of time. So you're saying,
Yeah.
okay, let's put a quarterback in that doesn't have a lot of experience, doesn't have a lot of big game experience, nothing really big this year, and go out there and win a ball game on the road in the SEC.
And I was mildly surprised at how Milroe played. I thought he could be the difference in the game because he has a lot of experience. I mean, after having a full year, and he played well on the road last year against Kentucky and against Mississippi State, but it's not Neyland Stadium. It was a very difficult environment, and hopefully it'll be a huge learning experience for Milroe. That's what my whole point of the show today has been when I've been talking about Milroe is he has to show he can step up and overcome this adversity because it's still his football team. There's no question about it. Scott, you can imagine. I've been asked on social media a bunch by people: are they going to make a quarterback change? Is Ty Simpson going to get reps? Is he going to start the next game? I'm like, no, he's not starting the next game.
Right.
Unless there's sickness or injury, he is not starting the next game because you lost 24. Look, everybody's acting like they lost 52-3 to Tennessee, and that they got blown out against Vanderbilt. They're 2 plays away from being undefeated.
Well, and the thing of it here is it's not like the wheels for Jalen Milroe has fallen off all year. It's just
He's
in
had
the last
moments.
couple games that it seems like
He has to snap out of it. Okay.
Yes,
Now,
yes.
the coaching staff needs to help him some, but he has to do it himself too. He has to snap out of it. He has to put his big boy pants on, stop sulking, and go play.
I agree with everything you said, but I just know it worked last year when they set him. Like it lit a fire under his ass, you know what I mean? And that's the point I was making, Drew. And I agree with what you're saying.
But you don't sit him in the middle of the Tennessee game. That was South Florida, and those 2 quarterbacks knew all week that he wasn't playing. Okay, that's a different deal. They were prepared they both got reps, and they knew. And I'm sure Ty knew there was a chance he could play in the game. It's a whole different mindset when you're told all week that you're going to be the starter. It's very, very different when you get thrown into the fire in the middle of a game. Very, very different.
And the thing is, if you bench Jalen Milroe at that point, at any point in that Tennessee game, it's a different message than you're sending.
To me, you don't come back from that.
You can't. That's what I'm saying. You can't come back from. If you take him out, you can't come back from that. You're committing to Ty Simpson for the rest of the way. If you pull him out at any point in that Tennessee game.
And I'll be honest, if he doesn't play well against Missouri, and if they're down 14-0 early, I would consider putting in Ty Simpson. And if Ty played well, then that could be the end of Jalen Milroe at Alabama. That's why this is so important on Saturday for him to play well.
Well, and I agree with what you're saying, but just we should have been up 17-0 at half.
I agree.
You know, because the defense played that well. We should have won that game. You know, it's not losing a football game; it's losing to Tennessee. It's just hard for me to swallow that, Drew.
All right. Thanks for the phone call there as well. Let's get in Wolverine Dan real fast. Good morning, sir.
I got a question for you. Alabama, when Nick Saban was coaching, who ran the defense? Are you there?
Yes.
Who ran the defense?
Who ran the defense?
I mean, he had coordinators that ran it, but he was very heavy-handed in every aspect of the football team.
Okay, well, do you have the same coordinator and defense you had last year?
No. The entire staff is different
Yeah.
except for 2 people being retained, kind of like Michigan.
Okay, well, exactly. We're taking a nosedive. You know that I don't even have to get on that topic. It's put a fork in them. It's done. But you know, Alabama's still not done. You know, 2 losses, win out, you're in. But the point is this: the Bulls is a totally different type of coach. I would say Saban sometimes would get in your face and give you the works, wouldn't he? Sometimes.
Yes, of course.
Okay. Well, here's the deal. Now, the Bulls might not be that kind of guy when it comes to coaching. And some players are receptive to the in-your-face stuff, and that was players that was recruited by Nick Saban, and that motivates them. Now, maybe on the West Coast, where he was coaching, your coach now, didn't have that kind of mentality where I'm going to jump in your face and this is what's going to happen and you do my way or the highway versus, you know, as far as I'm concerned, you know, pull me aside, say, listen, son, this is what you're doing wrong. And if you do it again, I'm going to have to bench you without demeaning the player. Okay? That's the reason why I stopped playing athletics, because I was being demeaned by a tyrant. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yes.
But also, then you throw in the NIL money. So, you know, here's the deal. So they're paying you to play for a team. So you know what? Once you get a paycheck, if you know, you have to go along with what they say because they are, you know, they're paying, correct?
Yes.
And so what happens after that is that when they pay you, they pretty much own you. Now, if you don't like it, then you walk away from that and you lose your money. You have to forfeit it, maybe wait a year or so. I'm not sure if it transfers. You don't even know if you have to wait. But the point I'm trying to say, fellas, is there's certain styles that work for certain players. And I think DeBoer might be more of the kind that kind of sets you aside and talks to you versus, you know, gets in your face. Do you agree?
And that's what we're seeing. I mean, that's the way he's presenting it right now. But I mean, we don't know what he does in practice when the cameras aren't around.
And I'll stop. Is this Saban, when he coached, that was his style. It worked because he got the players that would receive that kind of in your face. And unfortunately, I don't think your coach does that at a level that Nick Saban did. And maybe these players expect to have that coach say, okay, this is what it is, you know, right in your face. And it doesn't work. So that might be the problem. You've got the talent, you know, and you've got a coach that's really good on offense, on the offensive side of the ball. You got a new defensive coordinator. So you've got a lot of new things going on right now. But, you know, you are right, Drew. You know, they only lost by a couple points, these two teams. So they're not out of the game. You know, if they win out, LSU is your problem. If you get past LSU, you should be fine.
Now they got to beat Missouri first. First and foremost, they got to win a football game.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Dan. Let's get a break in. When we come back, wrap up hour number 1, Talking Ball.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Still looking at a major backup eastbound on 565 between Greenbrier and County Line. It's all because of a wreck up near County Line. They paged it with injury, but they canceled Himsey on that one. Picked up one at Bob Wade and Derwent. That one paged out with injury. They also canceled Himsey there. We got 72 and 35 in Scottsboro. We got Wilson and Sycamore in Decatur. And we got 251 in Gatlin Road near Ardmore in Limestone County. That one had an overturned vehicle with injury. Need assistance with a temp project or maybe finding a new employee? Snelling can help. They also do background checks, computer assessments, and payroll. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
If hunting and outdoor recreation are your passions, it all starts with the right property. That's where I come in. I am Bo Butler with Southland Realty and Auction, a hunting and recreational land specialist and a Jackson County native who sees land through a hunter's eyes. Just as you trust your guide on a big game hunt, you can trust me to find the perfect property for you. Thinking of selling? Let me help you make your land attract buyers. Remember, Bo knows land. Call me at 256-609-0512.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
Some call me a renegade, the enemy.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. What a full day we have had. Richard is with us real fast. Good morning, Richard.
Morning, guys. Drew,
Morning,
on
sir.
your, talking about Mac Jones' first start, that was against a terrible team, too.
Yeah, that was one of the worst. That was Chad Morris's Arkansas Razorbacks. They were horrendous.
Yeah, and you had four stud receivers, Najee Harris. Because I remember going to the game.
Yeah.
All we did, we threw passes behind the line of scrimmage to protect Jones, but they were so bad we were getting 30 yards by just throwing kind of wide receiver screens.
And he went 18 of 22.
Yeah, he never really threw downfield.
Well, look,
a few times he did. He was successful.
We
but
talked about the numbers yesterday. Jalen Milroe didn't face a Tennessee defense Saturday that was really bad. That Tennessee defense was really good. I mean, it's really good. Number-wise, it was, 7 categories within the top 5 in the country in major defensive categories. That is not a bad Tennessee defense. They confuse a lot of quarterbacks, and they've done it all year.
Yeah, I mean, they confused him, but like I said, like Drew said, they just you had enough open receivers to win the game.
Yes.
Yeah, there was enough guys there. He just has to execute, man. It's just about going out and doing your job and execute.
One thing on the refereeing, when you go back, I'm 66 years old, but you go back, 20 years ago, you didn't huddle. I mean, you huddled to where probably the number of plays were cut down. A lot more running the ball out. Where these officials now, like Tennessee, doesn't really go as fast as they used to. These guys are sprinting around almost like they don't know where they are. Where in the old days, like when we played Vandy the other day, Vandy would run a play, go back, huddle for 20 seconds, or whatever. Or these refs could kind of get their breath, walk around, get in the right place. Where now these teams, that's almost all teams, are running around, at breakneck pace. And then too, the old days, interference was wherever you foul the guy. Be it 30 yards downfield or 10. I think now, because it's only 15 yards, and I mean Ryan Williams was held the other day. But I mean, there's people held on every play. But I think in the old days, unless you tackled somebody, they weren't throwing a flag.
Right.
Where now it's just kind of like, it's only 15 yards. We'll throw a flag.
And again, go ahead. Yeah.
Go ahead. I just think it's the pace though is leading to some of these problems.
It may be, but my rebuttal would be they've had years for this. I mean, they've been doing this no huddle stuff for at least a decade, so you've had time to adjust to it.
I think refereeing's been pretty. I mean, the Georgia game was. I mean, if anything, there should have been penalties for the Texas fans, no matter if you got the call right or not, for throwing things on the field.
100%. 100, instead of a fine, yes, there should have been that should have played a part in the game because the fans act like idiots. Absolutely.
All right, Richard, hate to cut it short, but I got to move on because I want to get Hot Rod in real fast before we end the hour one. Good morning, Hot Rod.
Morning, Hot Rod.
Good morning. How y'all doing this morning?
We're doing well, sir.
Hey, on the offense, I'm pretty sure that the offensive coordinator, this is his first year of calling plays.
Yeah, that's correct.
I think you're seeing a drop off from. I apologize, I can't remember his name.
Brian Grubb.
Yeah, Brian Grubb. I'm thinking
Brian Grubb. Yep.
It's still DeBoer's system, but I'm thinking that you're seeing a drop off from him calling the plays versus the new OC.
Well, and you could say that, but again, the plan wasn't the issue. The execution was the problem. When guys are running wide open, and you need to make reads and make throws, I get sick and tired of everybody blaming the coordinator. First it was Brian Dable. He wasn't good enough. Well, he's only the head coach of the Giants. And then next, Bill O'Brien. He's not good enough. Fire him. And then Tommy Rees. He stunk last year. No, it's the quarterback. Okay. In many cases, it's the QB, it's personnel. Saban finally handled it with Tua Tagovailoa, and this will play itself out with Jalen Milroe. And for Alabama to reach what they want to do, Milroe needs to be the one to do it because, again, there's no guarantee. I don't think Ty Simpson is Tua Tagovailoa. I think he's a good player, could be a really good player. Right. But for this season to go the way they want it, I think Jalen Milroe has to be the guy.
All right, that's hour one in the books. I don't think we could get any more in 60 minutes, but we're going to try.
The NBA season starts tonight. The defending champion Celtics host the Knicks at TD Garden in Boston. The Celtics by 5.5, over under 221.5. The Knicks at plus 185 on the money line. Then the Timberwolves visit the Lakers. LA a 1.5 underdog at home, minus 105 on the money line. The T-Wolves minus 115. Boston's the plus 290 favorite to win the championship again, with Oak City at plus 675. The Knicks plus 700, and the Sixers at plus 825. Luka Doncic plus 375 to win the regular season MVP. Rookie of the Year, Zach Edey, the favorite, plus 275. That's the VSiN action update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. I'm Chuck Sanders.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This hour brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic and Spine Center. Online at sportsmedalabama.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Welcome back into the program. Hour number 2. And if it was as eventful as our number 1 was, just sit down and listen because it'll be another good 60 minutes of the show. I mean, we went from hearing Kalen DeBoer talk about, okay, they've got to get rid of some of the stupid mistakes. They've got to clean this up, to people wanting Ty Simpson to be the starting quarterback. Why didn't he come in and play at Tennessee? Look, all you got to do, folks, is look at the SEC standings and realize it's not as bad as you think, because Texas A&M and LSU are undefeated, but one of them are going to lose on Saturday.
Yeah,
because they play each other. Georgia still has to play Tennessee. Tennessee still has to play Georgia, la-di-da. So someone's going to have 2 losses after that one. Missouri, Alabama, Missouri could have potentially 2 losses there. there's a lot of football left to be played. There's a lot of football left for Alabama to still play.
Yeah, there is. It's been a topsy-turvy season. I think we were proven after the weekend that there may not be an elite team in the SEC, but I think there's still a very, 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 very good team in Georgia. This Alabama team beat them. Alabama right now going through a coaching transition. It's not without its bumps. Our next guest has been along for the entire journey. He does a great job for AL.com covering the University of Alabama, and that's Nick Kelly, and he's been kind enough to join us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Nick, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are we doing?
We're doing pretty good. As you can imagine, it's been very lively since the afternoon in Knoxville. I know you were there, you witnessed it. You were there at the media availability yesterday with the coaching staff. I got a message from a really good friend of mine, and he's back to the Saban mantra, wanting to have just one voice and not hear from the coordinators. I actually like hearing from them. I like getting their vibe and their take on things. What was the feeling yesterday? What's your biggest takeaways that you heard from, Kane Womack, Nick Sheridan, and then of course Kalen DeBoer?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing from Kalen more than anyone was the idea of we're not going to make excuses. And, I think he said something to the effect of that's kind of a soft thing to do, to make excuses. And I think they're at a point where they sense the crossroads they're at.
Yeah.
Their backs are kind of against the wall, and let's just go get this fixed. That's kind of the sense I get. It's less it's less of a, hey, we still have, a good chance to do this. It's like, no, we got to figure this out now. So I'm sensing a bit more urgency. Not that it wasn't there, but I guess more so in just their language and how they're talking about it. I think it's very clear that they have to get this figured out now.
Okay, I've got to ask this question just because I want to get your thoughts on it, because I didn't even notice it live. I saw the replays like everybody else. They're talking about the jump shot stuff on this quarterback sneak, and I know you guys asked Nick Sheridan about it. I thought his answer was interesting. He said, let's just say we're coaching in every down. What was the thought process on that? Because it's something I've never seen. I didn't really understand it. Of course, it bothered me. But what is your thoughts on it, and in the reaction from Nick Sheridan?
Yeah, I still am a little perplexed myself. I'm not sure what the exact purpose of that was. Of course, it was kind of a surprising image, seeing them do that. But now, in terms of for folks who are maybe upset that they weren't more involved in the play, they're not going to be involved in the play. The receivers just aren't in that moment. When it's a QB sneak up the middle, they're decoys. And so I guess them maybe stepping back is to help with that. But yeah, the basketball part is a little jarring. So maybe if that really is something that's being coached, maybe it's something that is meant to distract, I guess. But yeah, certainly not something you see every day.
And Kalen DeBoer yesterday was asked about the unsportsmanlike penalties, especially on Kendrick Law. And and he owned it. And he said, look, it's not just Kendrick, it's everybody. We've all got to get better at basically these silly, unforced, stupid mistakes that we're making.
Yeah, the interesting phrasing he had, something to the effect of, other people's thoughts can't become our thoughts. And that was interesting to me, just because I think that maybe saw that with Kendrick and the player that kind of provoked him into that personal foul. And I think that just mindset of Alabama needs to focus on itself and not let these external just sources of things that can lead you to stumble affect you. So I think it's not just Kendrick. We of course saw Malachi Moore against Vanderbilt. What happened there and that frustration? Of course, at that point the game was over when he kicked the football, but that same kind of losing maybe that emotional discipline, because that's what Kalen DeBoer said. They have to have emotional discipline in every facet of the game, and it hasn't always been there. So I think that's really key, and making sure that that's not costing you important yardage and costing you late in games.
Well, and now the biggest $1 million question is, to me, it looks like that Jalen Milroe has lost some confidence over the past couple of weeks. He just, and you were there for the start of the game from the jump, the snap hitting him in the face. He even had told us, and I started reflecting, back after the Western Kentucky game when someone asked him about the beginning of that game, and he said there was some anxiety. There seemed to be some anxiety, which surprised me, Nick, only because he's a fourth-year junior, played a lot of football last year, played against Georgia, beat the Dogs in an electric environment earlier this season. I was surprised at how he played against Tennessee. I think Tennessee's defense is very good. I'm not taking anything away from him, but I was mildly surprised at how he played.
Yeah, he, since the Georgia game, has not really been able to match that. And he's continued some of those struggles that he's had ever since. And the problem is I think it accumulates, and you stack games or you stack series where you aren't playing your best, you're making mistakes. I think, to your point, Drew, confidence is something that he needs to get back right now. It's not to the full extent that it was against the Georgia team. You can see it just in the way he's maneuvering, in the way that he is essentially conducting himself out in the field. I mean, he doesn't look as poised and as confident. I mean, that Georgia game, especially the first half.
Yeah.
I just remember thinking, like, man, this he's made it. Like, he looks so poised, so confident, just so in control. Like, I mean, yeah, it was impressive. It was a level that we had not seen from him. And I think he's regressed some in that regard. And the problem is that Jalen is incredibly hard on himself, and he really takes all that internally and just puts it on himself. And to the whole discussion about Ty Simpson and how they should put him in. Well, first off, I mean, and this isn't an indictment on Ty, but the players not playing is always better than the players playing, so to speak, in people's minds. And so, maybe Ty would be great. And I'm not saying he won't be, but I think that that's not necessarily the answer, especially for a guy like Jalen that, yes, there are times where it makes sense to take, your quarterback out and put someone else in, but it's to really be careful with that, because for someone whose confidence is kind of not as high as it's been, you really need to be careful with benching him and making sure you handle that situation correctly. So I think the key is just for this coaching staff is to figure out how to get Jalen Milroe's confidence back. And if they can do that, they're going to be in good shape.
Is there something that Nick Sheridan or Kalen DeBoer can do to kind of maybe ease his confidence back to him?
That's a good question. To me, I think you try to do small things where, okay, get the ball out of his hands. You try to get completions. You try to get the offense rolling, and make sure that, that he stacks positive plays, because I think that's part of the problem too, is that interception that he had in the first half, like, that takes a big hit. I mean, he's had more turnovers the past few games, and I think those affect him. And I think that those discourage him. I mean, why wouldn't they? I think it's hard. I mean, I think it's very, very hard not to be discouraged by a big mistake you make in a game. So I think it's very human and natural of him. And I think that we just assume they're robots who, they talk about just flushing it and just moving on, want to know all that stuff. But doesn't mean that you automatically buy into that. So I think it's just making sure that you help him get just some plays made. You help him play to his strengths. You set him up for success. Because the other thing too is that, I mean, he's kind of been running to his life to an extent, or for his life to an extent, the past couple of games with all these good fronts with South Carolina and Tennessee. Both have really good defensive fronts, and that's led to a lot of pressure. Not all of that's on the offensive line. Some of it is. Some of it's on Jalen. I mean, it's a big picture in terms of who pressure is blamed on. I mean, Tennessee, I believe, had 25 pressures per Pro Football Focus. So I mean, that's a high number, and it's hard to be settled as a passer. I mean, his numbers, I don't have them right in front of me, but his numbers when he's kept clean are way better than when he was not. And I think he was 20 for 30 when he was kept clean. And then whatever the if you want to do the math, I can't remember how many attempts he made, but whatever the rest were is when he was under pressure. And so, yeah, I mean, keeping him clean is so key. So it's going to be on the offensive line to help protect him. But yeah, so I think it's not just here's how you fix his confidence. But I think it's a lot of things that you set him up for success, help him get positive plays, and that'll go a long way for him being more confident.
And I think too, a couple of things I can see is, last year Tommy Rees helped him a lot with the checks. I know that Kalen DeBoer and Nick Sheridan are giving him more freedom. I think they should help him with the checks, and I think they should reiterate to him. Now, you saw it Saturday. Coaching that they adjust a lot. They have film, so they've started to try to take away a lot of the called quarterback runs. In other words, the student body left, the student body right, but the improvisational stuff is still there, Nick. And to me, I know he's always been a kind of a guy that wanted to be in the pocket, wanted to be a Tom Brady and not use his mobility. He needs to get back to letting it rip. He let it rip in that LSU game, and a lot of those were improvisational plays last year. He needs to use that because this offense needs it to stay on schedule. Of course, he's got to hit open receivers, but his mobility is very important, and it's a gift that a lot of people don't have. And I just think he needs to, if they're taking away your called runs, well, then improvise some.
Yeah, 100%. And to me, really, I think you need to make sure he knows too. Don't force things. Like if it's not there, just take off. And I think that we saw some forcing of things to Ryan Williams. Now, granted, I mean, I would target Ryan Williams all day myself. But if he's not open or if he's not in a spot where you think he can win a one-on-one matchup, then don't force it. Now, I also get that they don't necessarily have a stacked lineup where you have a Devontae Smith opposite Ryan Williams or something like that. But don't force it. I mean, you've got good options that can make solid plays that might not be home run plays, but they're, it's a double or it's a single. You can hit CJ Dupree for a, 15, 20-yard gain that he'll get 10 yards from running guys over or hurdling them. Or you can hit the running backs in a wheel route or just things like that don't have to be that home run hero ball play that I think would help Jalen, will help the offense. And I think just reminding him it's okay and making sure that he's willing to take those plays is really key.
So they get Missouri at home this weekend, and a lot of Alabama's problems, they seem like they're just small ones that if they can just kind of get these little kinks out of the way, this offense can resemble what we've seen earlier in the year. And I think a lot of it is some of this is overreaction and some of it is a reaction to what's going on, but it doesn't seem like they're that far off.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's the thing is the talent's there. They have the players, they have the coaches. And so you have the big pieces that you need to be a good football team. The problem is when you have enough small things that don't go well, they turn into big things.
Right.
And so when you don't have that proper discipline, those things add up. But I think a lot of it is fixable because a lot of it is mental. A lot of it is just discipline things. And so, yeah, that's the good news, but it's also the bad news because they haven't figured it out yet. So we'll see if they can. I mean, there's still time, but they got to figure it out fast because they've left themselves no margin for error if they want to make the playoff. But I will say there are some bigger things that are a little concerning, though, too. They're starting to creep up. And one of the biggest things is the secondary.
Yes, injury. Yep.
We had concerns going into the year just because how inexperienced it was and how much turnover they had. People talk about the transfer portal exits, but they lost some top-end talent to the draft in Kool-Aid McKinstry and Terran Arnold at cornerback. And the guys that could have replaced them, Trey Amos, he transfers. Maybe a Des Ricks, he transfers. I mean, so they had some talent there. You have them leave. And so I think that, and now that they've had some injuries, Keon Sabb's going to be out for a while. And then you also have some other just guys banged up in the secondary. That could cost them, and that could be a problem. So for me, I think I'm frankly pretty worried about the secondary right now, just because if Nico connected with some of the Tennessee receivers who got open in the first half, it could have been a 3-touchdown, game at that point. And luckily for Alabama, he didn't. But the receivers getting behind defensive backs has been a problem for a while. It just quarterbacks haven't always connected, and sometimes guys make plays. So I'm a little worried about that, to be honest with you.
And then I wanted to ask you, because it was a topic and it was rightfully asked. I'm not buying it, but what about Jalen Milroe's health? I think he's healthy enough to play. I don't think that's an issue, but your thoughts. I'm going to let you have that.
Yeah, I'm similar to your thoughts, Drew, in that just reading the tea leaves, the way that DeBoer answered it, the way that Tyler Booker answered it, I think that he's maybe a little banged up, that he's not 100%, but he's good enough to be playing, and I don't think it's a thing that he's out there quite like Bryce Young was, where you know, when Bryce came back and played when he wasn't even practicing, what was that, 22?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know if it's quite that, but no, I think just the way they're talking about it, he might have a little something, but not enough to keep him out and to where that he shouldn't be there. I really, again, think it comes down to confidence. That's the biggest thing right now. They have to get back for him.
Yeah, they really do. And then it's good. And then I know you just commented on Mizzou, but I'll ask you just your thoughts on the matchup as a whole. The secondary you just talked about for Alabama, I think that's a huge part of it, because they've got Luther Burden, they've got Theo Wees, they've got a veteran quarterback. Now he's going to be a little banged up, I would imagine, after last week. But what are your overall thoughts on this matchup? I was a little surprised Alabama was a 2-touchdown favorite right away.
Yeah, I mean, Brady Cook, tough guy, going to the hospital mid-game and coming back. Didn't expect that. But, yeah, Missouri's been kind of flailing a bit. I mean, they pulled out that win against Auburn. They pulled out the win against Vanderbilt thanks to the missed kick in overtime. But Tigers have not exactly been the most impressive, not like last year. I don't think the defense is quite as good as last year.
Mm-hmm.
Blake Baker, the defensive coordinator, he went to LSU.
That's right.
Lost a few players. But no, they, like you said, they still have Luther Burden. They still have Theo Wees. Brady Cook is throwing to them. So as long as that's happening, I think for Missouri, your offense is going to have a chance. But I still like Alabama in this game at home. And I think that Missouri's not quite as strong across the board. And so I would be surprised if Missouri pulls this one out.
Well, I know that kind of pains you. I know you're a Mizzou grad, but hey, we understand you're as objective as there is. That's why we have you on. You do a great job. Let everybody know how to follow your work, my friend.
I appreciate it, Drew. Well, that's the thing. I went to school there in some pretty rough years of Missouri football. So it's a little different than say if I'd gone to Alabama, during the prime Nick Saban's time. So I didn't quite have the. It wasn't quite as hard to remain objective during that time. But, anyways, AL.com, you can check out our work, and @_Nick Kelly on X and /Twitter.
Well, and I can just tell you, Nick, I went to Alabama during the Dubose year, so I sure, I had one good season. But, yeah, so I feel your pain.
You get it. So
thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Have a good one.
Let's get a break in.
Yeah. So.
Oh, a lot of more conversation. On 256-576-4977. You can join in like everybody else has this morning. Feel free to do so next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
If you got somebody missing from your office that normally comes in 565, they are quite likely caught up in that traffic jam between Greenbrier and County Line. Had a wreck in there. They thought they had injury, but they canceled Himsey on it. Got 31 northbound to south of the Beltline in Decatur. No injury there. Had Parkway northbound at 565 right at the westbound lane. They pulled it over to the right. Plummer Road and Cedar Crest, that's east of Research Park. That one had an injury involved. And we had 251 in Gatlin Road in Limestone County with an overturned vehicle. They should be about ready to clear that one. No hose, no mask. You can ask Dr. Sandman, that's Dr. Sandlin, for the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and for snoring. Dr. Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Eck in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This is Wes Neighbors sitting here with Stan McDonald. Stan, tell everybody why you're the best damn dirt lawyer in North Alabama.
Yes, Wes, at Jacob Title and the Stanton Law Firm. You know I'm a dirt lawyer, and a lot of our friends know that, which means we specialize in real estate. Now, if you own real estate or you're buying it or you're selling it, you need to do a closing, but a lot of times there's legal issues associated with that. We're a great group to talk to. My son, Lewis McDonald, heads our commercial closing division, and we approach your real estate needs very seriously. We seek to be the premier real estate closing company in North Alabama, and we do it in such a way it shows that we're experienced, we're for your success. We like to handle your real estate needs the same way Coach Dan Reeves used to say, never let them see you sweat. And that's going to be to your benefit, too, when you visit us at Jacob Title and the Stanton Law Firm. Our website online is jacobtitle.com.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
Have you ever turned your back on God? Have you ever absolutely known the right thing to do and just turned around and walked away in disobedience? I know that I have. Aren't we thankful for our great and merciful God who loves us and forgives us and remembers our sin no more? I'm so thankful that his mercies are fresh every day. I need that, and I suspect you do too. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, and if you're looking for a church home, come see us. We're smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison. And check us out at cpcfamily.org.
And now, a man who knows what you ate for breakfast.
Time now for the biggest thinker of them all.
He knows it all. He is Drew DeArmond. Listen to Drew and Scott Tyson weekday mornings. It's Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is my recital. I think it's very vital to rock around. That's right. On top. It's tricky. It's here we go. It's tricky to rock around. To rock around. That's right. On time. It's tricky.
And it's tricky to handle quarterbacks.
It is tricky. But like Nick said, and we said even in hour number 1, the best quarterback that everybody wants to play is the backup quarterback.
Yeah, always.
Always the backup quarterback, because that's always the answer. But lots of times it's not always the answer. It's not. We heard a lot of Kalen DeBoer in hour number 1. Let's slip in what Hugh Freeze had to say for a second yesterday. Hugh Freeze is talking about playing to win, not to lose. He feels like the guys are playing to lose right now, or they're playing. They just got to start letting it fly.
Yeah, that's a great question, and let me say I may have described it imperfectly, sort of like I do a lot of things sometimes. It's not, man, I don't mind the pressure. I don't mind any of that. I just want to do the right thing for your kids at the right moment. And I think it comes down to, we've got to gain some confidence in each other, and for those moments that are winning moments that will end up giving us the win on the scoreboard. And we've got to find a way to get, whether it's the DBs or whether it's a fresher pass rusher that maybe is really young. We talked about yesterday some guys that hadn't even played a lot yet. Maybe we need to carry them and just on third down, man, tell a TJ Lindsey or a DJ Reed, man, go sack the quarterback. You know, you're fresh legs and they're talented kids. Now you got to manage the 74-man travel roster and all of that. But and then me, you know, having confidence, man, Peyton's going to take care of the ball and our receivers are going to run the exact right route and all of that. And we're at a point in the year where we as coaches should have that fixed. And so I've got to get that and put that in my rear view mirror too, as if I'm calling a play, man, don't think the negative.
Well, all I can say is this is a perfect example of what we talked about during the show. He benched Peyton Thornton. He went with Hank Brown. 1 B+ and then an F. That's what happened. You had one start against a tomato can where he played well, and then you had a start against somebody with a pulse in the SEC.
Deer in the headlights. Got deer in the headlight look.
And so it's no guarantees that the backup quarterback is going to be the answer. When you have a guy that's played as much football as Jalen Milroe, it's your job as coaches, and now you have to put the finger on the coaches as well because it works both ways. They did scheme guys open. He's got to make those reads. But what you've got to do since that time, since Saturday, where he didn't execute the game plan like you wanted, because I'm sure because you design plays to work. Every play is supposed to work. It didn't. But now your job as coaches is to what Nick Kelly just said. You got to get his confidence back, man. You've got to find a way to snap him out of it and get him back to playing because he's shown he can do it. All right. So you got to get him back to doing it for the rest of this season, because otherwise, if you lose another game and your season's, you know, pretty much in the tank, you're not going to the playoff, you're not going to the SEC championship game, then why the hell start him? Then you maybe take a look at another quarterback. But your job as coaches is to get him going.
You know what comes to my mind right now,
What?
right this moment? What will Grady the Greek pick tomorrow
for
his MVP?
Yeah.
Because he has picked Jalen Milroe so many times.
Now he's picked Jam, you know, he's done that.
But he's ridden Jalen Milroe quite a bit.
Yeah. I don't know. Is he even going to pick Alabama? I don't know.
They are sitting at a 13.5-point favorite right now with an over-under of 56.5 against Missouri on Saturday. Auburn, by the way, is sitting at a 2.5-point underdog on the road at Kentucky.
They are.
The combined SEC records for that one, I don't think anybody had that right now, is 1-8.
Yeah. Crazy, man.
1-8. I don't think anybody had that penciled in.
Nope.
But here's the thing, though, too. We talk about how hard it is to be a quarterback.
Yeah.
Brock Vandagriff over in Kentucky, he didn't have a lot of numbers coming into the season. But everyone was like, oh, he's transferring from Georgia.
He's a 5-star.
He's 5-star. He's going to come in and take the world
There
by
was a
storm.
reason he wasn't starting.
Yeah. All right, let's go out to the phone lines. Let's get to Philip real fast. Good morning, Philip.
Hello.
Hey, guys. How y'all doing this morning?
Good, Philip. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, I'm probably like all the other Tide fans, you know, just trying to, you know, get over this loss, you know, but hey, you know, we got to keep pushing on, you know.
Right.
Put it in the rear view mirror. You know, I just hope a lot of these dumbasses out here, I hope a lot of these guys don't start saying, well, hell, we need to go ahead and fire Kalen DeBoer, you know, and he ain't worth a damn, you know.
No, you can't do that, man. There's always he's 5-2. He's not 2-5. You know, he's in his first year.
He's 5-2.
I mean, could he be 3-4? Yes, but he could easily be 7-0. So you are where you are, and you just have to see where they take it from here.
Oh, he's going to be a good coach for us. He just got to get, you know, during the off season, just got to, you know, keep on recruiting good players and maybe go into the portal, maybe bring some extra help in next year.
Well, and that's the thing, though, too. His offensive system that he runs is completely different from what Alabama has run in the past.
Everything they're doing is different.
And so
in all three phases of the game. Offense,
sometimes
defense,
you have
special teams.
square pieces that are trying to go into a round hole. And they don't always fit. And yes, he's going to have to get some guys in there that fit this offensive system a little bit better than what he has now. But you got to say, I mean, what he's doing now is not bad. I mean, they are 2-2 in the SEC, and we talked about it. Texas A&M and LSU are going to play each other this weekend, so somebody's coming away with a loss there. Georgia, Tennessee's got to play each other. Someone's going to have 2 losses at the end of that. If Alabama gets by Missouri, Missouri will have 2 losses. Vanderbilt still has Texas this weekend. Vanderbilt could have 2 losses in the league after this. There's a lot of teams that are sitting in front of Alabama that'll be behind them if Alabama takes care of business, and you start working your way back up.
Do you think that, Drudy, do you think that DeVore, you believe he'll go into the portal, maybe get a transfer quarterback to come in for next season?
I would be surprised. I think they've got some quarterbacks. I think just because, I thought the quarterback room was in strong shape before the season. I'm still going to say that. Even with Jalen Milroe struggling, that doesn't mean – and backups for a reason, but then he'll have a chance. They brought in Austin Mack for a reason. They've got, Ty, who I thought showed some improvement. They've got Dylan Lonergan. They've got some guys that can compete, and they're bringing in a 5-star in Keelan Russell. So they'll have 4 guys.
I thought Dylan Lonergan, I thought he hit the portal. I read yesterday Eli Holstein's going into the portal. I read.
Eli Holstein's already the quarterback at Pitt, and he's lighting it up, and he was the 5th guy.
Okay.
So he's already gone.
Okay, guys. Well, that's all.
Appreciate it, Philip. Thank you.
Yeah, y'all have a good day. Thanks.
Wow, we got to get a break in. One of the things we've not had a chance to do yet is your SEC power rankings.
Yeah,
We've not had a chance to do that.
We had so many calls.
I know. We tried to get to them. We've tried. I mean, literally.
It's what happened last week with Leonard Losers, dog. But of course,
I know. We've had to talk a few people off the ledge.
But I mean, the week before there was a vacation where there wasn't one. So I didn't know.
Well, anyway, let's get a break in. Brent Zwerneman, Houston Chronicle, going to join us next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Temperatures drop into the low and mid 50s as we head into the overnight early into your Wednesday morning. Maybe a light jacket for the Wednesday morning commute, but you're not going to need that jacket as we head into the afternoon. Plenty of sunshine, temperatures climbing into the lower 80s. We drop into the mid and upper 50s as we head into the overnight early Thursday morning. Much the same Thursday afternoon. Plenty of sunshine, temperatures climbing into the lower 80s. Dropping again into the mid and upper 50s, maybe only the lower 60s through the earliest hours of Friday morning. A mostly sunny sky Friday afternoon, temperatures climbing into the mid 80s, and again dropping into the mid and upper 50s through the overnight early Saturday morning. Sunshine continues Saturday afternoon, temperatures climbing into the low 80s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Well, we're moving on 565 eastbound between Greenbrier and County Line. Not moving very fast, but it is moving there. Finally got that wreck cleared out of the way. Got 131 northbound just south of the Bell Line in Decatur. Got Plummer and Cedar Crest. That one reported with an injury. That's east of Research Park. Had one on the Parkway northbound right at the 565 interchange. It's over to the right side of the road. It sounds like they're clearing 251 and Gatlin Road in Limestone County. It's where we had that overturned vehicle. Shoals Scholar Dollars Legends in Concert Series is bringing Grammy Award winner Kathy Mattea to UNA. Tickets for the November 24th Winter Gathering are available at shoalsscholardollars.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
That plays in perfectly to where we're going. There's a new king in town.
This is back when they made like soundtracks that were for an entire movie.
This
Every
was from
song.
the Batman movie.
Prince made an entire album.
Yes, he did.
Based around the Batman.
He did, but there's a new king in town. That leads us perfectly into your weekly SEC power rankings that appear in the Houston Chronicle. So there is a new king in town, I assume, atop the rankings.
Yes, there's a one that's back on top, and that would be the Georgia Bulldogs following their shellacking beatdown and just mauling of the Texas Longhorns. Now,
yes,
number 2 is the Texas A&M Aggies. They stayed put. I had them number 2 last week.
Texas A&M, by the way, they are 4-0 in the conference, 6-1 overall. Their only loss, week 1, against Notre Dame.
Yeah, they've been playing really good football, just under the radar, just quietly, and then they just destroyed Missouri. Number 3, the Tennessee Vols after their whacking of Alabama.
Okay.
Texas Longhorns down to 4 following their loss to the Georgia Bulldogs, where they'd already crowned themselves the champions of college football.
Okay.
Number 5, LSU.
Why LSU below Texas?
Because I think LSU, they've been quietly playing better and better. And they're coming off of a really good performance on the road, by the way, 34-10 over Arkansas. So I got them 5th. I got Missouri 6th after they beat Auburn in that ugly game, but they won it. And then I had to make a slight correction because, I could not put Alabama above Vanderbilt when Vanderbilt beat Alabama. You can't do that and be credible. So I have Vanderbilt 7, Alabama 8.
Wow.
I mean, I think Alabama would win 9 out of 10 times, but they lost. So Vanderbilt 7, Alabama 8. They're down to 8. Ole Miss 9, South Carolina 10, Florida 11, Arkansas 12, Kentucky 13, Oklahoma 14, Auburn 15, and Mississippi State taking up the rear.
I think it's interesting you got Florida at 11.
Yeah. And they're
moving up.
Moving up.
I mean, that one time they were near the basement.
They were, but they've showed some upward mobility.
Are you okay? Look, I'll say this, and Mississippi State, beginning of the year, they looked atrocious.
Yes.
But they've gotten better. I know the results. I know they're not getting the wins. And then they've lost 6 in a row. They're
lost
1-6.
34-24 at home Saturday.
But Jeff Lebby's offense is starting to show signs of life.
They've competed, and I did think about moving them out of the bottom of the 16th spot, but they are 1-6. So I had to leave them there. But again, we're hoping to get in touch with Brent Svarnum
who you send your rankings to each and every week.
Absolutely.
And that's who you send them to.
Yeah, we get him on from the Houston Chronicle, and we hope to have him back on very soon and get him on here in a couple of minutes to talk about Texas A&M because Texas A&M will be facing LSU in a key game. No question about that. It's going to be, I think, maybe the biggest of the weekend in the Southeastern Conference.
If LSU wins, if LSU is able to win it, I mean, both teams come in having won 6 straight. Both teams lost their openers. LSU lost to USC out in Las Vegas. Boy, I tell you what, you want to talk about how crazy it is. Think about that. Texas A&M lost to Notre Dame. Notre Dame's season has kind of gone a little bit. LSU lost to USC. USC under Lincoln Riley has crashed and burned in their inaugural visit to the Big Ten.
And I'm all for it.
And they have just plummeted. They've lost to Maryland. They've lost to Minnesota. They've got 3 losses in the Big Ten. It's interesting that both teams have lost their opener against teams that have been so-so, but both of them have rattled off 6 straight wins. And Brent Zorman is with us now.
Yeah, absolutely. And we always enjoy our chats with him. He does a great job covering the Aggies for the Houston Chronicle. I'm honored to have the platform he gives me each week to share my rankings, which we just did. The Texas A&M Aggies right now under Mike Elko. I said when we were in Dallas and we had Brent on, I thought this was an under-the-radar, really good hire. It's been great so far following that opening loss against Notre Dame. What a response. And now they get LSU in College Station this weekend, and we're going to talk to Brent Svarnum. Brent, good morning.
Good morning. Hey, guys, we've done this show. It's right after the kids' drop-off, so I've done it from the Walmart parking lot.
Yes, we have.
Chick-fil-A drive-through. Here I am at home in the Bryan College Station Bureau of the Houston Chronicle, and my phone's messing up, so I can't explain
It's all good. I've been there.
Good to talk to y'all, though.
Yeah,
well, let's go. We just ran down Drew's SEC power rankings.
Yeah,
he sends you each and every week. So
they published them yesterday.
It gave us a minute to do that, which we hadn't had a time because we've been talking Alabama fans off the ledge from the loss to Tennessee.
Yeah, and
I think I told Drew that the whole key at about midnight on Saturday night is to give it as little thought as possible past about the top 5, and it's amazing how close you can be with that approach.
Well, and I appreciate you letting me do a correction because I was like, what in the hell did I just send? If Vanderbilt beat Alabama, I can't put, Alabama ahead of Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, I'll tell you what my boss back when in August, he goes, okay, we need some dependable guys we can count on. And I thought of Drew, so that's a compliment.
Well, speaking of dependable, A&M certainly has been. What are your thoughts on how they're playing going into this game? It wasn't a Picasso Saturday on the road, but they got it done 34-24, and this is a huge opportunity on Saturday against LSU.
It's really the last time Texas A&M won a conference championship was 1998, and they were in the Big 12. And that team, especially early on, first half of the season, they actually started with a loss, if I recall, against Florida State in the Kickoff Classic up in New York. And then they squeaked by. I remember them barely beating Kansas, and they were kind of getting better and better as they went on. Probably this team reminds me more of that team than any since, in terms of it's really not pretty. I mean, look at Arkansas and Arlington, 21-17, a comeback victory, and Bowling Green, 26-20. But yet they keep getting it done, and then you say, okay, which Connor Wigman are you going to get? Well, he wasn't at his best by any means at Mississippi State on Saturday, but yet when they needed it, he came through, and that offense came through. And particularly you figured when they hired Mike Elko, because I saw it over 4 seasons, that you were going to consistently have a decent defense or a good defense. And sure enough, that's been the case so far, and that's carried them in these tight games. And now, lo and behold, here they are 6-1. And as we talked about, I like the idea that there's hope for a team that's number 14 in the nation, as opposed to in the past saying, well, how is a team ever going to make the top 4, over the past decade to make that playoff? It's pretty cool. And as Mike Elko pointed out yesterday, you have 24, 26 teams in the conversation for that 12-team playoff. And it's pretty neat to be covering one of those teams right now as well.
But you got to give Mike Elko, you got to give him a lot of credit. There's a lot of people that thought Connor Wigman may not start. But Marcel Reed comes in. He does well on the road at Florida. It looks like this might be his path, his team. But then, Mike Elko says, you know what? Missouri's coming to town, and Connor Wigman's going to be our starter. And wow, great choice. But Mike Elko stood by his convictions.
Yeah, he had pointed out to us. He goes, "Hey, I see those guys in practice every day," and he was very thankful what Marcel Reed did in those 3 games, 3-0. And now you look at what he did at Florida, and it's even a little more remarkable that they were able to win pretty convincingly. In that way, at that point, snap a 10-game losing streak in true road games that had happened under Jimbo Fisher. And then we're all thinking, the guys covering the team are like, okay, this is Marcel Reed's team, and then maybe Wegman can come on. And lo and behold, it's like, hey, Wegman's the guy. So he's back at it, and he looked his best. He probably played his best game in college against Missouri. They were number 9 in the nation at the time, and just lit it up, 18 of 22, and looked like that 5-star guy who could get it done. And then he came back to earth at Mississippi State, but they still pulled out the victory. He had 2 interceptions, then could have thrown 2 more. Could have easily been 4 interceptions. Mike Elko chalked it up as just kind of one of those nights or one of those days in that situation, and said that Wegman is definitely his guy moving forward. And what Connor Wegman gives you that Marcel Reed did not in that short time is typically the downfield passing. But Marcel Reed is a better runner. So you have that option, and it wouldn't stun me, if there was a situation where Mike Elko or Colin Klein said, okay, we need more yards in the run game, and give Le'Veon Moss a little help, and maybe Marcel Reed will get a series here and there. But yeah, they have made it clear that Connor Wegman is their guy. The funny thing is, he's one of those guys that seems like he's been around forever now, but he's a redshirt sophomore, because the injury last year against Auburn happened in week 4. So he was able to get that red shirt. So he's just a sophomore, and Marcel Reed is a redshirt freshman. So they're looking pretty good at quarterback over at least the next couple of years. And I would not anticipate Connor Wegman going into the draft at this point, because you can obviously see where he still has plenty of room for improvement as well.
Well, and talk about Klein's impact as an OC. What have you seen that you like? Because Jimbo Fisher was known as a quarterback whisperer. He was known as an offensive guru. A&M was good offensively while he was there, but seemed to lose their edge. What has Klein brought to the table and helped them improve and be consistent?
Yeah, there was a guy named Le'Veon Moss, who was a one-time Alabama commit.
Yeah.
I don't know if Bama backed off in that situation or what, but he ended up pledging to A&M. And Reuben Owens, who was a five-star guy out of El Campo, Texas, he was kind of expected to be the featured back, out of the backfield, a guy who can catch it in those situations. Well, he had a lower leg injury in camp and was lost for the season. Next thing you know, Moss, and Mike Elko has talked about it. Maybe Moss wasn't the most bought-in guy early on when Elko came on board. And then along the way, he did buy into Tommy Moffitt's system and what Colin Klein is preaching. And now he's one of the best backs in the SEC and a guy they lean heavily on. And it has been kind of fun to see the way Colin Klein uses these backs. Amari Daniels is a guy you wouldn't necessarily think as a finisher, as a punisher in the red zone, but he's come on when Le'Veon Moss gets the big yards down the field, and then Amari Daniels comes in, and then E.J. Smith and Emmitt Smith's son is a nice change of pace there too. So, yeah, that's been particularly where they've been at their best under Colin Klein, is in that rain game, just like he was as a quarterback back at Kansas State, and just like they were at Kansas State the past couple of years in the Big 12. They're particularly really good in the red zone in that situation.
Brent Zorneman, Houston Chronicle, covers Texas A&M, joining us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. And Brent, Saturday, this is what Texas A&M. I mean, you pay Jimbo Fisher all of that money to be in spots like this, but it's Mike Elko. He's got Texas A&M where they thought they should be, and that is battling for the top spot, undefeated. LSU coming to town, a night game. This is what Texas A&M envisioned a few years ago.
Yeah, I thought they really rolled the dice because those games that Jimbo lost last year in SEC play were all close.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, they've got a veteran team coming back, a very favorable schedule. I don't think you're ever going to see A&M with a more favorable schedule than this year. I'll be honest, it surprised me. I mean, you heard rumblings and things like that when in mid-November, after a 51-10 win over Mississippi State, that they agreed to pay Jimbo Fisher $77 million to go away and not coach. And so they bring Mike Elko into a situation that could have been a rebuild, but so far he's taken advantage of this schedule. And I think I had them preseason right about 6-1 in this situation because of that schedule. Also with the idea of, okay, this is where, and it's what I wrote about today, this is where they show, are they for real or not, starting now. When you've got LSU at home, you're going to what's obviously a tough place to play in South Carolina and what they've done this year. So this is when the schedule really tightens up. And again, the 4 or 5 ranked teams they play this year, all at Kyle Field. As I tell Aggies, I said, don't look at that schedule for next year. All those games are on the road. All those games against ranked opponents, starting with Notre Dame, are all on the road next year. But go ahead and enjoy this one. And certainly to his credit, Mike Elko has taken advantage of it and has him in that position. And after you see, okay, so A&M played Arkansas 21-17 at a neutral site. You see what LSU did at Arkansas last week, 34-10 by 24. So, yeah, after Saturday night, if the Aggies are 7-1, that's when I'm saying, okay, this team is for real. This program is for real and a certain playoff contender, no doubt about it.
Well, and we know Jimbo's best success is when he hired Mike Elko initially from Wake Forest and inserted him as the defensive coordinator. They played really good defense until he went to Duke and did an underrated job there. What has he done, he and his staff that he's brought in to change this defense to get them back to – because this is a very proud school when you think about the Wrecking Crew and some of the defenses they had under R.C. Slocum, but they got away from it a little bit until they hired him. How has he been able to flip the switch and get them back to playing?
Yeah, it's funny about that. An angle for Saturday night is he actually spent that 1 year at Notre Dame under Brian Kelly, of all people. And you kind of wonder,
okay, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, why did he spend that
right.
one season? What happened in that situation? It's never, and they both say really nice things about each other. Brian Kelly says that about Mike Elko. Mike Elko says that about Brian Kelly. So now suddenly Brian Kelly is facing his 1 year defensive coordinator. And the thing so I started covering the Aggies like 30 years ago, and that's back when they legitimately had those Wrecking Crew defenses. And I would write in stories, they're number 3 in rush defense, number 1 in total defense, so forth, back when. Under Mike Elko, I was like, whoa, I'm getting to write those kind of stats again for the first time in decades. And they did such a good job. Elijah Robinson, the late Terry Price, in terms of particularly recruiting defensive linemen. When I was covering A&M along with Dennis Franchione, Mike Sherman, every once in a while you'd have a sprinkling of, hey, they signed a 5-star guy. They signed more 5-stars on the defensive line than they had in like the previous 15 years at all positions. And you see that. And now Mike Elko, he knew what he was walking back into because he recruited a lot of those guys. And he's just a tough. I mean, he truly is a brilliant mind. He's one of those guys. He's an Ivy League guy. But when you talk, I kind of joked, and I said before the season, I said, I don't know what this means in terms of wins and losses, but his Otter transcripts are the cleanest I've ever seen of any coach. In terms of, it's like his thoughts are so pure and clean, and you can see that during the course of a game. And I think sometimes he takes over that defensive play calling when needed from Jay Bateman and so forth, or really chimes in on that front and then lets Colin Klein kind of do his thing with the idea, just like back when they hired R.C. Slocum as the last defensive-minded coach, that the defense is going to carry the day, even if the offense is having trouble here and there, and that what defense travels as well.
Yeah.
So it's been kind of fun to see. And Jay Bateman told us this a couple of weeks ago. It's pretty funny. He goes, yeah, I realized pretty quick A&M's one of those places that still really loves defense, as opposed to, just, hey, score as many points as you can. So that's been kind of neat to see, kind of the return of the wrecking crew at Texas A&M as well.
I want to slip in just a generic SEC question real fast, because you cover the SEC and you cover a lot of college football. Your thoughts on the officiating within the conference?
Man, it's funny because the SEC is so good and so powerful in so many ways, and it just really seems to lack. And I do like that there's that idea that maybe you don't have officials who are to a certain conference. This is a really long way of saying, yeah, it's poor, it's not good, it needs to be better. And that was crazy. That was, that we were in the Mississippi State press box the other night when they reversed that call. I said, I've never seen that. And then it does set that precedent, as Kirby Smart said, hey, throw bottles, throw a temper tantrum, cause, put people on the field in danger. And then you get your way. I mean, it's really, really poor in that situation. What happened, first of all, was a bad call to begin with. But maybe there's this idea that officials shouldn't be linked to a certain conference, that they're more like the NFL, where, it's not like there's, certain divisions that officials are linked to. And yeah, for as good as the SEC is in so many ways, the officiating, and this is a generic response, needs to be better. And however that you go about doing that, it somehow, some way it needs to be done, because it's not matching up with the football on the field.
It really isn't. Well, final question: how does A&M beat LSU in your mind?
Goes back to that defense we were talking about. I mean, they're going to have their hands full with Nussmeier. They've got to present. Maybe their one weakness on defense has been giving up the explosive plays here. As you saw, Missouri had a couple of chances downfield that were called back for this and that reason. So it wasn't, revealed as much, but that's something certainly A&M has got to work on in the pass defense, and then get that running game going with the aforementioned Le'Veon Moss, and control that ball and win another tight game at Kyle Field is what it's going to come down to. But I'm just, it's one of those situations more than halfway through the season. I'm truly at a spot where I say, I'm not quite sure what's going to happen, but I'll have a whole lot better idea late Saturday night.
Well, and we'll
my generic answer for that as well.
We'll be connecting again around midnight. We appreciate it, Brent. Enjoy the game, brother.
Sounds good. We'll talk to y'all soon.
All right, thanks.
6:30.
Kind enough to join us. Hey, we do got to get one quick recruiting announcement in real fast.
Yes. Congratulations to Eli Stapler, of course, the son of Scott Stapler, the grandson of Ronnie Stapler. He has made his college decision. Now all 5 starters from Huntsville headed to the college level. He will be a Lee Flame in the Gulf South Conference. Congratulations to E. What a great student he is. What a class young man he is. He's busted his tail. He's worked really hard. He made his decision, just went public this morning. Yeah. But congratulations to E, as we call him, as he will be taking his talents to the Gulf South Conference and the Lee Flames, an outstanding, Gulf South Conference program.
Yeah, so Lee will graduate one North Alabama guy, and Noah Bowler Kyle
from Decatur Heritage. That's correct.
And then Eli Stapler will replace that, and they'll still have somebody from North Alabama on there. So
yep,
that stinks. Good for Eli. Just
Yeah, the
hate
last
that
dance for this special group of 8 seniors at Huntsville High. And
he's going to be playing in the Gulf South Conference in Cleveland, Tennessee. Not
the school that John Shulman just loves.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You got some stories.
Yep. Words were spoken. Words were spoken.
Congrats, E.
Yes, good job.
Well earned, brother.
We'll be back at it tomorrow morning. We'll
Go
speak
Big
more
Red.
words tomorrow.
It's official. 47 years in a row, Ford F-150 is the best-selling truck in America. Come drive one, and you'll see why. Hi, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, inviting you to kickstart the new year